In the last year, I've talked with over 100 CMOs, and this is what they're frustrated with when it comes to social media. All right, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Marketing. I'm your host, Jordan Shelton. Today, I want to talk to you about really why CMOs and VPs of marketing are frustrated, particularly when it comes to social media. And this comes from, some data that I've looked up, but also from conversations that I've had. So on this podcast, if you're listening in your car, if you're on YouTube watching this, LinkedIn, wherever, in past episodes, you can go and see all the CMOs, VPs we've had on the show. And what's great about that in the show is I get to interview these people and really hear what's working for them, what's not. But then afterwards, we get to usually chat for 10, 20 minutes. And I get to hear a lot of those underlying frustrations that they maybe can't put on a show. So I wanted to bring some of those forward and also give you, a hypothesis on why I think in general, CMOs, VPs are frustrated when it comes to social and in particular how it's affecting their business. Okay, let's start, right? I think there's an important point here to note, and that is the average CMO tenure is about 40 months. So we're looking at 3 years and change before a CMO needs to leave or gets kicked out or gets a new job, whatever. All right, this is slightly less than other executives. This is important for a couple reasons. The big one being brand building isn't a 40-month activity. It is something that can take many years or decades to put together. So when a CMO is hired, they come in and they feel, there's a fire under them right away that they need to do something drastic, move the needle. They need to get results to either A, retain their seat, within that company, or B, get a better job. So when we look at those motivations, social becomes a challenge because what are the levers that you can pull right away when you get into that seat? You can say, hey, we're going to increase our ad spend, right? We're going to buy more Facebook ads. We're going to move the needle. Hey, we're going to heavily discount. We can do all these strategies and sure, they'll generate some immediate sales, immediate ROI relative to social media, paid media, but discounting and just increasing ad spend is a short-term fix, and building brand takes a long time. Social media is great for building a brand. So I think about this, that look, they have this pressure for immediate results, and things like organic social are really, really tough to justify when it comes to that need. And we're trying to align what we're doing from a creation, a community building standpoint to what they want, which is that immediate need or result. The other thing that CMOs are facing, so they're facing, one, they need the immediate results. Two, it's really hard for them to report on social media and ROI to the rest of the org. So we have to think about this. Your CMO, even if you're reporting to them with social media, you're one of many reporting to them. So they are not only responsible for, the cross-functional marketing, but they also need to know and be able to communicate this to other team members on the other executives. So the sales team, the tech team, whatever it may be, to say, hey, look, here's what we're doing and here's why it's working. And then another reason they're frustrated, I think, is like when it comes to social, it's pretty unpredictable. The algorithms change all the time. The content needs change all the time. And if they are submitting a budget in September of the previous year to say, here's what we need to execute on social media, and then all the platforms change or a new channel gets thrown in the mix, it can really throw the planning for a loop. So that becomes another frustration. Next, and this is something that I don't think is talked about enough when it comes to people being willing to say this, but I hear it a lot behind closed doors. And that is, there is a frustration based on previous advice. And let me explain what I mean by that. People were told, hey, just hire a Gen Z, hire a 22-year-old, give them the keys to your kingdom, let them go, let them essentially freewheel the social media, and you're going to see positive results. And they took this advice because they saw a couple brands doing this really well. And it gave the illusion that any young person in the office could basically take a brand social account and run it like your favorite account that you see out there. And that's just not the truth, because although somebody may be a digital native, somebody who grew up, with tech their whole life, that doesn't mean they're a brand strategist. So we're seeing that the CMOs feel there's a disconnect from the money they put in to the social media plans, resourcing, etc., and the output they're getting. Now, not only from a sales standpoint, but also from a brand building standpoint. A lot of social teams out there, trying to say this politically correct, will be chasing impressions and trends, and they're ending up with a completely reactive plan. Hey, what trend is going? Can we squeeze our brand into this somehow? So So when you do that long enough, essentially you dilute, any chance of having brand recall. And ultimately you're just going to be chasing trends. And then eventually you're going to have to say, hey, what did this produce? And all you're going to be able to hold on to is impressions, but impressions for a trend that has nothing to do with your brand isn't a strategy for job retention, for promotion, etc. So let's take all this in mind. We got them. They're frustrated. They need results. They want to build a brand. They're seeing money be lit on fire is what they feel like. And the brand isn't being built. Okay, here is the roadmap to having success. Whether it's your boss who's the CMO or if you're an agency or freelancer and you're going out and you have to report to this head of marketing, VP, CMO person. Here's how I think we alleviate the CMO pain. Number one, be extremely clear in reporting to the CMO. Look, they do not have time for your novella on why impressions are down or up. Just get to the point. We did A, it caused B. Here's the change we're making next week. Here's what we learned. Bang, bang, bang. Be direct. They have a lot going on. They need key information that they can report to other executives. 2, make algorithm resistant content. What I mean by this, don't chase the algorithm and just what's trending. Don't dance for the algorithm just because that's what's popping right now. Instead, make content that fits your brand, talks about a competitive differentiator, a company value, is something that is going to be relevant 6 months, 1 year from now. If your content has originality and staying power, it's going to perform and it's going to attract the right people to your brand, which is really what's important. Number 3, reduce resource strain. Okay, that's a mouthful. Make it easier for the CMO to justify hiring you, particularly if you're a freelancer or boutique agency. Look, the more you can take off the plate of the marketing org, the better, because not only is there a financial consideration for the marketing team, there's also a mental bandwidth consideration. And if they need to deploy a bunch of time and hours and mental bandwidth from their team, you start to creep in as not only a financial cost center, a time cost center. So we want to make sure, hey, how can we make this as seamless as possible and take as much off their plate as possible? Lastly, if you are hired by a company to come in and help them with really any marketing function, but we'll say for social media, your job is to bring your external experience as expertise, AKA let people know what they're missing, right? They didn't hire you to be a contractor just to, hey, we need you to design and post it to be. No, that's not what they hired you for. They hired you for insights, and because you know what's going on in the industry, you know where the trends are going in general when it comes to social media. You have somewhat of a pulse on internet culture. That's why you were hired. Make sure to bring that to the table when you are sitting down with these heads of marketing. Okay, look, that was a lot, but really what it comes down to is this. We need to be trusted advisors when we go and talk with these CMOs, VPs of marketing. Trusted advisor means having their back legitimately, creating great content that builds the brand, and then also understanding what they're up against when it comes to time and resources. And that's it. Look, if you liked this video, please hit that like or subscribe below. That helps us get this out in front of more people. And if you're listening on audio, you're a real one and you're probably a day one. So shout out to you. I'm your host, Jordan Shelton. I'll catch you next time.